Hello, good evening. Happy Thursday to you all. I am Alyssa, and this is Make It Alexandria. I am the owner of Alexandria Makers Market, and it is my good fortune to not only work with local Alexandria based makers, but also to show them off really right here on ZTV Live. So, you guys, tonight we have Mary Beth. She owns Teddy's Turmeric Tamer, and I'm really, really excited to talk to her because I have never seen a product like this before. So, Mary Beth, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Lisa, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, listen, I don't know much about your product, and you and I have just connected recently, so I cannot wait to hear and get to know a little bit more about how you got started with this. So, would you give us an overview of really how this all came to be?
Yes, certainly. And first of all, I just want to apologize for my voice. I'm fighting a sinus infection, so it's wreaking havoc on my voice, which is it's
Oh,
good for my family, but not so much for this interview.
well, thank you.
Yes,
I'm sorry that you're not feeling well. Thank you for joining us, even despite that.
thank you. So anyway, yes, we had a beautiful dog that we adopted in the early 2000s. His name was Teddy. He was a Newfie, part Border Collie, but 100 pounds. So he was a large dog. He was just the best dog. We loved him. Our neighborhood loved him. He was just a wonderful dog. We noticed a little lump on his snout in probably early 2013. We thought he got stung by a bee. It turned into a golf ball size tumor. We went
Mm,
to the vet. They did a little bit of testing, and they found out that there were cancer cells. So they had suggested that we go to a vet oncologist. But in between, it took about 2 or 3 weeks before we got that appointment, and then six weeks after getting his biopsy. In those 6 weeks, I did a lot of research on pet cancer. There's so much pet cancer in this world right now, and I was just going to town researching on what would help pets with cancer, what was recommended. He wasn't eating as much like he used to. So with that, I found a bunch of ingredients that were anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer ingredients that would help, hopefully, with the inflammation and the tumor. Started mixing it together. He would eat it, and we got a call from the vet oncologist after that 6 weeks, giving him 2 weeks to live. And we were
mm,
very, very sad. And when they said 2 weeks to live, they also told us to keep him comfortable. And what that meant
mm,
was to keep him on 5 medicines that pretty much sedated him. He didn't want to go out. He stopped eating again. And we were leaving for Maine the next day after that terrible call, his
mm.
favorite place where he would run around, go in the woods, in the water. He wouldn't do anything. When we got up there, I had just decided I couldn't let him die like that. So we started dialing back the medicines and giving him a little bit more of our turmeric, more than what I is on the recommendation dosage. And lo and behold, he started eating. And 2 weeks after that, he was running around in the water up in Maine. We were up there for quite a bit and sort of returning to normal. 4 months later, his tumor completely eradicated and he lived to 3 years. So we were pretty amazed, and we could
Mm.
only think that our product was helping him and kept him on there. And we didn't give him any other medicines there on out. Fast forward to today, many other testimonials on our website. We have a couple dogs who had cancer as well, and two, in fact, that were given 2 weeks to live as well. And
Oh
they
my
lived
gosh.
a few months longer after taking my product. And there's one dog now that's still alive. The owner claims that after just one container, the tumor completely eradicated, and he's still living. So we're very happy and pleased to hear that, and we attribute it to our ingredients. Our ingredients are flaxseed. We have high in omega 3. We have turmeric, which is an powerful antioxidant with anti-inflammatory properties. We have ginger, which is an anti-inflammatory and also helps with nausea if dogs are on other medicines or helping with
Mm,
cancer or illnesses. We have very, very potent proven to be cancer fighting mushrooms, and then of course cinnamon, which is just also a very um, high antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, and helps with the taste. Yeah.
That, I mean, that first of all is an incredible story, and one that has a little bit of heartbreak in it. But I mean, what? I'm sure you never expected yourself to become a health pet food, in this business. So this is just kind of a crazy happenstance, quite frankly.
It truly is. It truly is. I am a meeting event planner by trade. So this is completely different, and I've had a lot to learn, and it has been slower than I expected just because you have to learn a lot. There's a lot of laws, there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of regulations. Virginia is a tough state to get licensed in. It took me 5 years.
Wow.
And then after 2 attempts by myself, I ended up hiring a lawyer, and it still took him 2 years. So it's a
Wow.
very stringent process, and you really have to know what you're doing. And I would like to tell anybody if they're interested in joining the pet world, the pet feed world, or the pet treat world. It's a hard process, but it's a good process. We need to have it in place, but do your homework first before you put in your applications for a license, because you have to be licensed for these type of products to sell them in Virginia.
Well, and that's actually, that brings me to a couple questions, really. The first is, was there any product out there doing what you do? In all the research that you were doing, it seems like you were coming up with certain spices or, just food-based products that could be anti-inflammatory. But you seem to be the one that decided, okay, I'm going to put this all together and we're just going to pack it into kind of a superfood.
That's true. It's a good question. Yeah, there are plenty of products out there that are anti-inflammatory. I mean, anything with, we all know turmeric is a very good ingredient spice that helps with inflammation. So a lot of products do have turmeric in it, and you can see it. I mean, I see it in cereals now, and I even
Mm.
saw it in a Starbucks coffee um, the other day. So turmeric is a very, very popular ingredient for anti-inflammatory. I'm sure there are other products. Do I know one that's very similar to mine? No, not really. But I will say what I did was what will help restrict or stop cancer growth, and all these things came up. And then I tried a couple other ingredients, and I didn't use them. One, either they were hard to get a hold of. Two, they might
Mm.
have been very, very expensive. Or three, they just smelled awful. So the ones that I came up with, I know ginger for a fact. I was worried about that with my dog because he was on so many medicines, and his stomach was very, very upset all the time. So the
Mm.
ginger definitely was something that I wanted to incorporate no matter what. But I'm sure there's other products, and you'll see. It's a big line now for pet feed. My product is considered a pet feed. I'm licensed as a pet feed. So it's a big line. In fact, the pet industry is a 199 billion dollar industry. So, and 34% of that is for pet feed and treats. So I think I'm getting in at the right time.
That, I mean, and that is incredible. This is amazing that you had the kind of the thought to put it all together. And so I just think that that's so fascinating. I'm curious. So Teddy was kind of on board from the beginning. Is this something that you add into the food, or is it a standalone food itself?
So this is a little. I give it to my other dog too now. It's a powder. So there's comes with a scoop, and depending on the weight, there's a label on the back tells you the weight. Add it to the food. Now, I'm not gonna lie, not every dog likes it. So we've come up with creative ways to mix the powder in with dog food, using either olive oil, salmon oil. Some people
Mm.
put it in peanut butter. But I am embarking on a new line of turkey jerky. We've tested it with many dogs, and they like it. It's pure, just pure turkey, dehydrated, made into turkey jerky, sprinkled with my product.
Oh,
And so
wow.
far, 100% of the dogs that I've tried don't like it. So that may be an alternative to those dogs who don't like the powder.
That's so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how fun that is, but I think that that's a really clever way. Do you think that perhaps you might expand into other types of products that maybe help with the delivery or the palatability of this item?
Yes, I do. And in fact, all the ingredients are all natural, and some of them are organic. Not all of them are organic, but they're all natural, human grade. So
Mm.
you and I can take it, and in fact, my husband and I take it every day. I have many humans taking it, but I am not licensed as a human product. I'm licensed as a pet feed, so I have to put a disclaimer on a container when I do sell it to somebody. But we've seen great results with ailments such as gout and people who have tennis elbow. I have a knee issue, and when I don't take it for a couple days, I can feel it in my knees. So I would like to go that route, but that's FDA approval, and I know that's a very, very hard process. And right now, my business has come back a little bit, so I don't know if I'm going to follow that trail just yet.
Well, that makes absolute sense. I can only imagine all the paperwork and all the behind the scenes that would have to happen to get that FDA approval. But so take me back a little bit further. You said that you Teddy was ill in 2013. At what point after giving him your mixture did you decide, you know what, other people might benefit from this? Let me start to think about making this a business.
Well, it wasn't actually me who thought that. I had people come to me after Teddy survived and after his tumor went away. So I first started it with my niece's dogs, and her dog had some issues with the spine, and they wanted to put the dog down. And she's
Mm,
been on it for 5 or 6 years now, even
wow.
longer, baby. The dog is fine. I had a neighbor who had a dog with a tumor and was given 2 weeks to live. So I said, "What do you have to lose? Try my product." She did. That dog lived a couple more months. Um, so that's really how it started to snowball. People started hearing about it, and then my family and friends. I talked to them. I started giving us presents, little samples out, just trying to get it out there to both humans and pets. We don't do so much with cats. I think I mentioned that to you. I've only had
Mhm.
2 cats, so I don't have too much data or too much response with cats. I do know the one cat, my neighbor next door, you would use it on her cat every day. The cat was very sick, but she was on it for 5 years. So I
Wow.
think it helped her, but I can't be too sure. Yeah.
It must be so difficult because you can kind of see the results, but at the same time our pets can't truly talk to us and give us the
Right.
full picture. And so it's but it does seem like there's been a lot of success from the dog pet owner point of view. So that's something you must be very proud of.
Yeah, I am. I really am. Again, it has been a very hard process, and I'm still not there. Just jumping through the hoops with Virginia and trying to get it marketed and trying to get it into stores. We are selling it locally. We sell it into Old Town School for Dogs, Nature's
Mm.
Nibbles, both at Fort Hunt and on in Delray, the dog park on King Street. Made in Alexandria also has it, and we are starting to get into other shops. There's going to be a grooming salon that's going to be carrying it very soon. So we're pretty proud of that.
Well, and this is probably the perfect location to have a pet product. You know, we're such a dog friendly city here in Alexandria. And you and I have a mutual connection in Karen Johnson of Posgo, who is just simply the best. But um, she and I had a discussion about what is it about Alexandria that makes it so pet friendly? Do you have any insight into that and why?
I wish. Well, what was the president says? If you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. Maybe that's it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I know Del Rey is very, very pet friendly, and they have lots of pet events. Alexandria just had one a couple months ago, Love Your Pet Day. I think this was their second event, and we were there, and it was very, very well attended. But I think also COVID brought a lot of pets to us. And I hope those pets stay and aren't brought back now that people are returning to work. But we saw more and more people walking dogs in our neighborhood during COVID than ever before. So they're just wonderful, wonderful companions to come home to and to be with. So, and we
It's
have
absolutely.
rescued a dog that looked just like Teddy. Although he wasn't a newfie, he was rescued, and it's a very sad story. He was shot 4 times by his owners, and actually had a very bad limp. We brought him to the vet, and they couldn't figure out what the limp was. And I wasn't giving him my turmeric because he was having some bowel issues, and I thought it was from the turmeric
Mm.
because turmeric could be is a little bit tough on the stomach. So I never recommend it for puppies. I wait until they're about 12 months old, and then they can take it.
Mm.
The vet couldn't figure out why he was having what he did, but they found that he had a bullet in his shoulder that we never knew about before.
Oh
So I
my
started
gosh.
giving him my oh no, we did find out he was allergic to chicken. I'm sorry. We found out he was allergic to chicken, so we switched his food. His stomach started getting better. I started giving him turmeric and his limp went away. So that was a very expensive expensive trip to the vet, but at least he's now taken my product and his lip has gone away.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. That is kind of a horrific story. I'm sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
it's
Oh my
sad.
goodness.
So
That
with
is a
that
little bit
said, because we have this rescue, what we've done is uh, we give proceeds from our sales to a charity that helps dogs, particularly those who are rescue animals. So every couple of months, because we don't make that much right now, so we do it usually on a quarterly basis, and we'll give to a charity.
I mean, I can't think of anything better. It's always the small businesses that are giving back the most, in my opinion, or that I have found also kind of in an anecdotal kind of situation. But that's incredibly generous, and so it's clear that you have a passion not only for your actual product, but just you stand behind the mission of what you guys are working on and trying to make lives better for these pets and whether they're yours or not being
Absolutely,
yours.
absolutely. That's very true. Yeah.
So let me ask you this then. It seems like you've been quite successful here locally. You're in a lot of the stores and
Mhm.
connecting with all the right pet small businesses in this area. Where do you see this going? Would you ever hope to be in one of the the big box kind of stores?
That's a good question. I think about it often. However, I do enjoy the boutique feel. I feel that our product is special because we use no preservatives or chemicals. Our
Mm,
shelf life is not that long. It could be
mhm,
6 months, 8 months. The turkey jerky, even less because I use no preservatives whatsoever. So when we use these boutique stores where people are coming in and going out, especially the ones that have the baked goods in there, that's what we look at. In the long run, sure, why not? I would not say no to a call from one of the big box stores, but at this point, I do handcraft every container by
wow.
myself and manufacture and distribute it because our ingredients are so important, and some of the ingredients are smaller than the other ingredients. I want to make sure that we have the exact amount of ingredients for in each container, so I do handcraft every one. So it's a little
Wow.
time consuming, but that's where it helps to be in a smaller on the smaller end of the shopping grid.
I mean, that's a very good point, and I think that's a balance that every small business owner attempts to find is that sweet spot of, you know, am I big enough but not too big that I can't manage what the demand. Um, no, I think that's really exciting kind of, and there are still, you don't need Petco and PetSmart and those big names. There are still many
True.
local businesses, veterinarians, and a lot of dog sitting services, and all those kinds of places right here in the city that I'm sure would be a perfect partnership. So
Absolutely,
that's exciting.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
um, so then this has been kind of ongoing for a long time, and you said you do hand pack each one yourself, which is quite impressive. First of all, I guess I kind of envisioned like a bigger batch that maybe it was all kind of distributed in that fashion. But no, that's not
Not
the best way to do
yeah,
that.
not at this time because, here one week we may get 20 orders, the next week we may only get 4. So it's very doable right now. If we ever get to the point where we're getting hundreds, hundreds a month or whatnot, we may have to do more of a manufacturer, and that's where we go to machines to ensure that I get each ingredient in that container. Because, like I said, the mushrooms are so potent that you only need a little bit. So I want to make sure it's in every container. If I do a big batch, I don't have control that's in each container that I send out. So right now, that's why we do it at home and we do it by hand and sell it that way. Eventually, maybe we'll get out there in the big world and be able to use machines to do that for us. So hopefully, that's when the big box calls me.
Well, I think that actually speaks to you and just you really attempting to make sure that it is the highest quality possible for each customer.
That's true. Yes, yes,
So
because the ingredients they're the highest quality, all natural, and I want to make sure that everybody's getting the same thing. Right.
no, that makes absolute sense. You mentioned that you also take it. I'm curious, are you also sprinkling it on your food or a smoothie? What's your go-to recipe?
So I make it into a smoothie. I'm not gonna lie. These are not my flavors, but my husband will put it right on his yogurt and eat it. We sometimes make granola and put it on there. We'll bake it into the granola. I have a friend who puts it in water. I've done that before when I hadn't had a chance to do a smoothie. It's not that easy to go down in water. Chris from Nature's Nibbles, he puts it in his, I can't remember if it's tea or coffee. He puts it in his tea, his coffee every morning. So it just depends on your likes and your taste. It is a very gritty, earthy taste. So if you like that, then it may not be a problem. But I prefer it in my little vanilla and strawberry and blueberry smoothie.
And have you, I mean, from your personal perspective, do you feel that you've seen, you said you feel it in your knees when you don't take it. So,
I do notice a difference, and I'll tell you, the first time I ever noticed it, I didn't notice a difference until I was doing a site visit with my client, and we were walking around on a convention floor. And we were there for 2 days, and I didn't bring it with me. I was there a total of 3 days, but 2 days on the floor. And when I got home, my knees were killing me. And the next day, I started it, and by the third day, it was fine. My knees were back to normal. So I didn't really notice that until about a year and a half ago or no, before COVID, right before COVID. And that's when I realized, wow, this does work. And
yeah.
I used it on my 89-year-old father who had gout, and he would take it, and his gout would, he had gout on his elbow, and his gout would go away. And when he didn't take it, it would come back. So we trialed, we'd do it, he'd stop it. We'd do it, he'd stop it. And each time he did it, we saw the difference in the gout bulb on his elbow. So again, I have not done clinical trials, so I can't claim any of this per se. But if you look at my testimonials on the website, there's all types of testimonials saying how it's helped arthritis, tennis elbow, even for dogs, their ACL after their surgeries. A couple of ones, like I said, with cancer, and the one with gout. So
Wow. Mary Beth, this is, I mean, this is so, again, I've said this before on the show. I always think that I have met every maker and have seen everything, but it's so true that I'm always surprised by the next connection. And so I'm so glad that we've been able to connect and get to know one another because this is just really, really fascinating, quite honestly. It's not something that I would ever see me stumbling into, but no, this is very, very cool. And I think the thing that it really drives it home is how passionate you are for not only the product but your pets and and the care that you're
mm,
putting into this product. So I appreciate that. But
Well,
I
thank
think
you.
there's, yeah, no, and it seems to be resonating with our viewers as well. And I definitely want to make sure that they know how to get a hold of you. What are some of the best ways? You mentioned a lot of the stores around town.
Hmm.
How do they get to you directly?
Directly, I have a website. It's Teddy's Turmeric Tamer. And let me just back up for a minute. It is a mouthful. Eventually, we're going to be known as TTT. Originally, one of the things with VDAX, or Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, when I did the application, I called it Teddy's Tumor Tamer, meaning that it tamed the tumor, blah, blah, blah. They would not allow me to use the word tumor in it because of the medical connotation to it. And I hadn't done any clinical trials. So without changing it too much, we just made it Teddy's Turmeric Tamer. I know it is a mouthful, but it will be TTT sooner or later. And we still refer to it to TTT today. But if you go to www.teddysturmerictamer.com, you'll find it there. And I would be happy to offer a discount if you put in Teddy21. You'll get a 10% discount for your first order or any of your orders till the end of the year. And you can also find it at Nature's Nibbles, again in Delray, and on the Fort Hunt location, the dog park on King Street, Old Town School for Dogs, and it's also made in Alexandria on their website.
Well, that's amazing. So lots of ways, guys, to go, and at least, I think you said, like, does it hurt to try? You just never know
No,
what could
no.
happen. So this has been really an incredible conversation. Thank you so much. Before we part ways, I'm gonna ask Grace, our amazing producer behind the scenes, to throw up one little promo. You guys, I want to make sure that I mention we have amazing makers that we're getting together at the end of the month for Small Business Saturday. We'll be at Port City because they're our most gracious hosts, and we have just many makers that you've seen right here on the show will be there live in person. So that's a really cool way to go and connect with them. And it's a great way to support these local small businesses as you gear up for the holiday season. So hope to see you guys on Saturday, November 27th. So
Looks like a great
um,
event.
yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. And MaryBeth, I can't thank you enough for joining us here this evening. And I can't wait to run into you live in real life. So,
Wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And
oh,
so, and
yes,
my voice lasted, so thank you.
no, this has been great. You guys, please go out, support these small businesses, shop local, make it Alexandria as much as possible, and go be the good news in someone's life.